Hello and welcome to So Farscape.
A fun-filled Farscape fancast by a fervent fan.
And I forgot my new line.
A frankly fascinated first-timer.
Fascinated first-timer. Yes, thank you very much.
I'm Kaki.
I'm Kay.
And this is the story So Farscape. Wow, we have a lot to catch up on.
We have. It's like a new season with a new first episode. And wow, is it an episode?
I mean,
it is an episode.
Yes. It is. They generally are. But no, I get what you mean. Because, okay, so normally you would jump in here and you would do a fantastic retelling of the entire story so far. But can you imagine the challenge that Ricky Manning had in writing this episode, Season 2, Episode 1, Mind the Baby? You know what? I'm actually doing that off memory. Let me just think really hard. Can you talk?
Yes,
while
sure.
while I'm thinking really hard, whether that's
thinking with your answer phone.
Don't tell him.
Okay, so there's the story So Farscape has been John Crichton, our American astronaut, or actually IASA astronaut, who has been flung to a far corner of the galaxy, and he has been making his way through with his new band of friends and family, I suppose.
Oh, very good.
On board of a living ship, Moya, who has recently given birth to a small living ship by the name of Boya?
No.
Tallinn. Okay, Tallinn.
Okay, come on. Aaron had that honor. Not you gave him a weird name, but I appreciate you.
And there's been a little bit of fighting going on. The insane military commander has seemingly regained his senses, as we can see by his much more coiffed and composed hairstyle. My theory of Crace's mental state being able to be read by his hair is still holding strong.
Oh, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. He has held his breath and retracted all the follicles on his face.
He's smoothed his hair back down. He's back in his little...
He's got some coconut oil in there. Must smell lovely.
Yeah. Oh, there. Or maybe pomade. Pomade.
I'm a dapper Dan, man.
I don't want fop. He does look like a bit of a fop. I'll give him that. But
were I ever to do like a proper cosplay of anyone, it would be Crace. Wow, that uniform, the hair.
You could easily pull that off.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was having a think about whether it was indeed Ricky Manning. And yeah, he got this job of writing the first episode of the second season. A second season that at the writing of the end of the first was not guaranteed. The numbers were good, but there was a lot of things against them. There was the construction of the Sydney Olympics was underway. There was the filming of Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, that took over their
studio.
Yeah, so they had to find another place to film. There was another one, Moulin Rouge was also claiming stuff. So suddenly there were all these big productions in the vicinity of Sydney, and plucky little Farscape had to find somewhere that they could afford to shoot. They wound up finding, they weren't exactly sound stages. I think they were converted warehouses in Homebush Bay. So it was a 2-hour trip out of Sydney to the west.
Quite a drive, yeah.
Yeah, do that every day and then get in makeup.
Yeah, damn. I assume they found something nearby to stay or something. Especially Dargo and Zahn would be in makeup for a long time.
Hey, since we just watched this episode, have you noticed anything different about Moya? Does it feel different?
Not yet, not really. It seemed that the shots seemed to be a little bit more close in than they were. I noticed they dropped the big open den for Pilot again. It's like it all seems again back to the more cozy little shots that they're taking of him.
That's interesting. Okay, we'll get to Pilot's den. I've been told, I haven't been able to notice it myself, but that the ceilings are lower because the new warehouses, they didn't have the same dimensions. Mm-hmm. Nor the same, it's got to be said, soundproofing. Like one of the problems that they had in Fox Studios was that they couldn't like record audio and run the air conditioning at the same time.
Yes.
But they just didn't bother recording any audio now at all because they basically had corrugated tin roof. So when it rained, they really had to yell just to be able to hear each other. So
wow,
don't even bother.
That's really hard. So they all did the audio in, I don't know what it's called. Where they basically...
ADR, that is automated dialogue recording.
Okay.
A process that some of them were already quite familiar with. Lani Tupu was also the voice for Pilot, so he already spent hours per episode in a little booth. So did John Hardy, who came in and did the voice for Rigel.
Yes, he even looks a bit like Rigel. I saw a photo of him the other day.
Yes, it's the eyebrows,
yes,
right?
It is very much.
Those are his actual eyebrows. John Hardy was blessed with just
very bushy eyebrows. Yeah. So I was wondering about that. Specifically about Lani Tupu. Did he get to be on set when they were shooting scenes with Pilot?
Very good question. Initially, yes. It helped with the performance. It helped the actors get to know the character, but it was just logistically problematic.
Okay.
Because those scenes would be spread out over several days. I can also understand it. Like Lani Tupu is a working actor, gets paid probably per episode rather than
By the
per
hour, yeah.
Right. And occasionally, like, he'd have to play Crace as well, and those were quite different responsibilities.
Right. I mean, when he's out playing Crace, he's going to be on set anyway, at least for the days that he's supposed to be shooting scenes.
True.
But I can imagine that, like they did with Jar Jar Binks, they had the voice actor like running around on set, and
the
they even
luminous
gave
Ahmed Best.
Yes, but they even gave him a big hat with a
with the eye stalks to get the eye line,
right,
so the
like,
actors
look
would
at the right place. I believe it was actually more of a mask that they put on, like the masks they wear for the Lion King stage show production. You know, where they have the headdress on top, where both to give him the extra height and to give the actors more of a thing to look at. Not just the eye stalks like they had. I think it was in what's that, Dragonheart or something? That movie where Sean Connery voices the dragon.
Yeah, Draco.
Where most of it was like actors like playing towards a broom with a few golf balls stuck or tennis balls stuck onto it, so that you could like.
I remember in one of the Harry Potter films, it literally says in the credits that the role of Dobby was portrayed by an orange ball on a stick.
Yeah.
You know, these are interesting questions. This actually goes for a lot of the performers. Some of the production has changed. The performer, the puppeteer for Rigel used to be, oh God, am I going to say it right? The original puppeteer for Rigel was Johnny Eccleston.
Yeah.
He was British, and he went back to England. And so the second season, someone else took over, I think Tim Meerville. But Johnny Eccleston, he was Rigel to the crew because he was on set. He was he actually had his hand in Rigel's mouth. He would sit with the actors beforehand and
go through the lines,
portray the scene. Yeah, exactly. But then, like, after, I think even the whole season had wrapped, then John Hardy came in and did the AGR for Rigel. So when the actors saw Rigel performed on screen for the first time, it was a completely different voice.
Right, that must have been like Darth Vader in the original
Star
Wars movie, of course.
What was his name? Prowse?
David Prowse, yes.
Yes.
And who had this like weird Scottish accent, and it's hilarious to watch the onstage audio for the scenes, especially when he's like harassing Leia in the corridor, and it just sounds so weird to have him like say,
"You are part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor."
Exactly.
Oh, bless.
It sounds weird. Let's put it like that.
You know, I wonder if David Prowse is related to Andrew Prowse. He's the Australian director who was the supervising director on I want to say the whole first season. I think the whole series.
No.
And for this episode as well. You can always tell that it's an Andrew Prowse episode when there's a lot of stuff in the foreground, like between the camera and the actors.
I noticed that, especially in the opening scenes of the episode, when I was wondering, like, okay, are they being watched? They're on this asteroid, and it's all shot basically.
Oh, wait, the intro music.
Prepare the starburst.
Yes, okay, so we open... Actually, we don't open on the asteroid.
No, we don't. We open on Moya, where Moya is being shot at, presumably by the command carrier.
No, it's the Sheyang.
Sheyang?
Do you remember? They're the fire-breathing lizard people from PK Tech Girl.
Okay.
So they reused, like, the effect shot of the Sheyang, like, plasma cannon weapon.
Okay, so that was a bit weird. Like, it seemed odd that they were being shot at, and it's never mentioned again. It's just like a little... It basically... It's used to show the crewing crisis. Pilot is like desperately trying to get Moya out of the way of fire. Rigel is being his own useless self. Chiana is just like having a little bit of panic, and Zahn is having a full-blown meltdown.
Yeah, she's totally out of it.
Yeah.
This is, okay, welcome to episode 1, where the most responsible person on Moya is Chiana.
San, do something!
Doggo, he can help them.
No.
He can talk to them.
Listen to me. Doggo is gone.
Yes.
Oh, they're in trouble. But this was all a dream that Dargo is having.
Oh, is that what it is?
Okay, your surprise
I missed that.
No,
Yeah.
I was totally there with you. For many years, I've been confused of this scene. It was only when I was doing the research that, apparently everyone assumes, and the writers indicated, that it is a dream that he's having.
Oh, because Dargo, of course, was spaced together with Crichton, except Dargo wasn't wearing a spacesuit. And he was doing pretty well. And he is now being tended by Crichton, who is like talking to him, trying to wake him.
Man, this is getting old. Least you can do is talk in your sleep.
What would you like me to say?
Oh, Anthony Cingo did such a good job here. I thought it was a very different energy for
Dargo. Yes, very much so.
Because he asked him, do you know who I am? Yes, I know who you are, John, but I do not recognize this place. And whoa, that was intense detail.
Because, of course, last time he came out of this coma, he was like completely lost in his own
kissing
memories. Yes,
everyone,
because he thought they were like his old family. Now they're just on an asteroid, which apparently they have been brought to by Erin, who picked him up in her prowler, and who, as we learned just before the opening credits, is making a deal with Crais, or
God,
is like.
what an incredible amount of information we're fed here. These were the days where probably the DVDs had barely come out for season 1. So, like,
That quick?
I was going to say barely. Like, you probably, as a viewer, you had to remember what happened in the last episode of last season, and it would have been a few months ago.
Yeah.
So this episode would have to catch you up because...
But it doesn't really do that. It's just it just throws you right back in. There's a few mentions to what was going on, but most of all, it stands very much on its own.
See, okay, this is so impressive. I was sitting here just marveling at how much exposition Ricky Manning managed to plunge in. Stuff like, at one point, Crais is in prison and talking about how he is reevaluating his future. And Dargo says, like, a prison cell is a great place to do that.
Yeah.
Yes, the Pa'u accomplished a lot while he was in here. Like, bam, backstory,
True,
left and right. Ricky Manning was just walking through the set with a Nerf gun, just blasting everyone with exposition.
Like, remember this, tell them about that, make sure you remind them that was happening. But yeah, they're on an asteroid, and they don't have any food. They have very little water and plenty of air, apparently. And Erin's been using her prowler to go out and about and find these things while Crichton is tending to Dargo.
The unconscious Dargo.
Yeah.
But secretly, she has made a deal.
Don't forget I have to give Crichton a reason for my absence.
He still has no knowledge of our arrangement?
None.
It seems that she's been, gone over to his side.
Yeah.
Crais, of course, who stole Talon in the last episode.
Yeah, whom he's still captaining. Crais, interestingly, asks whether Erin has told John about their arrangement, encourages her to tell the truth.
Yeah.
And she won't.
Only when it's too late for him to interfere.
It really suggests that, she's working on betraying them, or she's made a pact with Crais and is like...
What were you thinking? What was going through your mind here? Because now we go to the credits.
I was really thinking about what is going on. What's Erin up to? Is she just playing along? Has she actually been made an offer that she can't refuse? Which makes no sense because Crais holds no power with the Pacekeepers anymore. He's ousted just as much as she is. But the implication seems to be that she and him, okay, well now we're both out, and she's still clinging to her Sebastian ways, I suppose, or at least a little bit of her own species. And that seemed to be a possible connection. That they're like, okay, maybe she's made some sort of deal that they're going to go off with Talon on their own.
Yeah. You don't really have a lot to go on, but it's the strength of Claudia Black's performance. It's so sinister.
Yes, very much. On the other hand, we have Chiana on Moya trying to get Rigel to eat. And you know something's wrong when Rigel doesn't want to eat.
Yeah, she's
Flabbergasted.
completely astonished.
Rigel, eat!
I can't eat.
What, you can't eat?
Did you notice, by the way? So Rigel, he's got his eyebrows waxed and he's got his moustache waxed as well. His puppet has had an upgrade, a glow up. So it's got a different paint job, but it's also got new animatronics in the mouth.
Oh, yeah.
You notice how much better he talks and emotes?
I mean, his mouth has always been very expressive.
Can you believe that was just a thumb? That was all the control that Johnny Eccleston had about the... Yeah.
You've seen Jim Henson playing Kermit, It's just a sock over it, and it gives him so much control, and he gives such brilliant expression. Yeah, I'm not surprised that you can do that just by tugging your fingers around inside a
Henson
puppeteer
puppet, knows the wrinkles, knows the pressure, and left does this and right does that.
They're just sitting there, probably with that puppet in their lap for hours, just practicing and doing what happens when I do this. How can I repeat that? How can I give him a smug expression or an angry expression?
He needs both of those.
Nobody does smug like Rigel was.
Yeah, this was one of many luxuries. Hey, this episode was actually going to be the second episode.
Oh,
it was actually intended to be the second episode. A different episode was going to be first and was swapped around, but not by the studio. This was a production decision that happened later. Mm-hmm. So the Creature Shop was actually quite happy with that because that gave them some extra time for this episode where they could do stuff like give Rigel a glow up. After they came back from their summer holidays, give some new animatronics and a remote control system, so he wouldn't always have to be cabled. He wouldn't always have to struggle to fit one or more 6'19" men in a stage behind this puppet. And also Dargo. Have you noticed Dargo?
Dargo looks very pretty. I mean, I commented on it while we were watching the episode that he looks extremely more handsome,
gorgeous,
even more so
right?
than he did. I mean, he's always been well groomed, but
yes.
And of course, his eyes and mouth, he's got such beautiful shining eyes.
Yes, he's a gorgeous man. I mean, it really comes to the fore now that he's got a tan.
Oh, I hadn't noticed that.
Oh, we're going to have to... You'll notice it the next time. His skin texture has changed somewhat.
Okay.
He's got slightly more sort of wrinkles in the forehead. It's a much darker hue. He got a space tan.
Well, yes, of course. I mean, like, no atmosphere will give you like a hell of UV bombardment. So I guess that'll...
Yeah.
I mean, spending a lot of time on Moya and not on planets will do that. So on Moya, they have installed some sort of shielding system, which the RDs are trying to repair.
We aren't entirely defenseless. As good as. All we have is that antiquated defense screen we took from the wreck of the Zelbinian.
This pile of Dren. Well, is it even functional?
I'll have the DRDs give it a thorough going over.
Yeah, I thought this was clever. That's the defense screen from the Zelbinian,
yes.
which was the same episode where we met the Sheyang.
Yeah, right. And that
so
might
I
be
think that was a
tidy...
smart little trigger to remind you of that episode. And yeah, apparently they pulled one of the defense screens off of the Zelbinian, which is never mentioned on screen.
No, I don't think so. Scorpius, in the meantime, is having a new glow stick installed.
Oh, what did you think of this?
It looks kind of odd. He's got this like thing screwing out of his head like his data, and
a cylinder with all of these rods, one of them glowing that sort of like spins and minces out of his brain.
Yeah, it must have been... It means a lot of empty space in there, so I guess... It goes like right behind his eyes, so that must be a really weird thing. But he gets a red glow stick replaced by a blue glow stick, and then it spins back in, and we have the, I think, still yet unnamed lieutenant.
Played by
gets a bit of a talking to.
Yeah, I mean, he comes up and he talks about the
All patrols still report nothing, sir. No signal from the Leviathan offspring, no trace of Crichton. Nothing.
Because he's a little astonished to see, this intimate orifice of his boss having
refreshed,
being inserted to something into by his nurse. Hey, you're going to have to carry the bull on the plot of this episode.
Okay.
Because while I was watching it, I was just marveling at the production. Oh, you can see the ceilings are lower. Oh, he's got the tan.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Aaron?
Hold on. I've got to stop you because what did you notice that was different about Scorpius aside from the fact that he has some stuff coming out of his head?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, his teeth were still...
His helmet
still had
shiny. Come on, Kay. Are you even watching this show? He's got a shiny helmet instead of a matte helmet now.
So he just had like his gimp suit...
waxed.
Polished up a little bit. I mean, everybody needs a good leather polish once in a while.
Yes, I wonder if it was...
No, I hadn't noticed.
No, you didn't notice that... Scorpy had his helmet polished?
No.
Okay, carry us through.
Yes, Erin shows up on Talon, where she has a bit of a discussion with Crace. Crace is pleading with Talon, trying to get him to behave, power down, because Scorpius has just ordered the plan that he had a few episodes ago. It was like to bombard him with disconcerting radio messages, and it's wearing on young Talon. He's like getting nervous, he's anxious, he's afraid of his mother even, I think. He doesn't, like, he's already in his teenage phase where he doesn't want to be with his mother. But Erin manages to calm him down and get him to power down and just like...
It's not Aaron, though.
It is.
Aaron gets Talon to open up about what it is that's making him so afraid, and that's when Talon lets them hear the signal,
communications, yes,
which they realize is, this is bollocks.
Yes. Talon, these signals mean nothing. They're intended to alarm you and to make you run.
Talon, do not play into the hands of your enemy. Remain right where you are. You're brave enough to do that, aren't you?
He's definitely developing a rapport with Talon here, or at least trying to.
How did you feel about that? Because I remember being astonished at how sincere and empathetic Crace was. This is not his command style. This is not how we've seen him treat his underlings. Like he seems to genuinely be relating to Talon as a...
He's already shown in the past that he knows quite a lot about Talon's development, how he was bred and designed.
Yeah.
And this is, it seems that he had some intimate involvement with that in the past. Of course, when Moya was still under his control.
That's right, because she was in his battle group.
And having Talon available and as a gunship, as he's frequently referred to during this episode.
The gunship.
The gunship.
The gunship.
The gunship.
The gunship.
The gunship. The gunship.
The gunship.
The gunship.
You're a gunship.
warrior. You want to move, to fight. But you're not yet strong enough to take on a command carrier.
It has clearly been part of his long-term plan, probably originally to get his way with the peacekeepers and be a better commander, or at least a more useful commander. But now he's stalled Talon, and he's clearly moving on towards wanting to, make his way off with him and be his own person, do his own thing.
Re-examine his path, free for the peacekeepers.
Yep.
Though not necessarily alone, because... so Erin's in this scene. She's touching the ceiling, which she does often on the
she's very affectionate with Talon. I noticed that.
It's a great sort of Ellen Ripley look that she's got with the dirty tank top. And her and Grace, they get awfully close. Normally only Crichton gets to be this close while they're having a private conversation.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I noticed that later on as well, when you see Crichton and Grace, they're always very close, and even when he's got a gun, he'll still turn his back towards Grace. And he's very trusting in that regard for some odd reason.
Back on the asteroid, we've got John teaching Dargo to play rock, paper, scissors.
Yes.
Which Dargo really enjoys.
Again?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Again I win.
Claiming that I win again. No, paper defeats.
No, paper cannot possibly be rock.
It does. Paper beats rock.
Rock rips through paper.
Dargo, that's not how it works.
A rock would rip right through the paper.
That is unrealistic. It's such good banter.
It's not meant to be realistic. It's meant to be fun.
Well, it's the rules, and it's not supposed to be realistic. It's supposed to be entertaining.
My coma was more entertaining.
It's a kid's game.
While they're sitting in front of a wall with a painting on it that sort of looks like the peacekeeper symbol, except it's like a red sphere with a red cone in it.
It was meant to be some sort of abandoned mining colony, I believe,
Right.
that they said that it was capable of sustaining life. They had the atmosphere there. And we also learned that it was Grace who gave Erin the coordinates for this asteroid. After she'd picked up Dargo and Creighton in her prowler, she couldn't get back to Moya. Moya had starbursted away.
Yep.
And the command carrier is obviously not an option, but Grace radioed her the coordinates of this, and she made her way there to save Jonna and Dargo.
And in exchange, she would help Grace win Talon's trust. That was the devil's bargain that she made.
And they agreed to share command, I believe, they say at a certain point.
Yeah, this does not go over well with John and Dargo when she admits it to them.
She comes clean.
She's not even very impressed with Dargo being alive, even though he is. She sort of moves past that almost immediately. She's so wrapped up in her conspiracy, in her guilt, in whatever, that she doesn't even spare a moment just to revel in the fact that her friend's alive.
Yes, she's apparently still going off on her own, looking for food and drink. I mean, she found some water, which is not going to sustain them.
Yeah.
There's a long argument between Erin and John, which gets cut short by Dargo basically giving Erin a tongue lashing, knocking her out in one flash.
Yeah, he calls it a time saver, which...
Well, it's true.
Wow, okay.
Then John Rochambeau's Dargo's Myvonks for the rights to go to...
It's rock, paper, scissors
okay.
again. Yeah, because they have a little, both of them have beef with Grace.
Basically, Dargo says, I know Grace, and then John goes, you think I don't know him? And it's...
Yeah, I don't think that Dargo's claim to hate Grace is really as well established.
No.
We remarked on that in the final episode.
He was his jailer, but that's pretty much it, I think.
Why would they have ever necessarily met? How many prisoners have met their jailer? He's a... It's one of at least 3 other Leviathans you saw originally in Grace's battle group.
Oh, I never noticed there were more Leviathans there.
Oh, they're tiny. Blink and you'll miss it. But,
okay.
So, he has one full carrier and a few smaller craft and a few collared Leviathans. Yeah. But this time it's John who wins conclusively, inarguably. Scissors defeat paper, and Dargo accepts that.
Chiana goes and finds Zahn, who is meditating or something like that. She's got this gorgeous collar or necklace or whatever it is, which looks like it's made out of floating stones, which she's wearing.
I think she's worn it before, but it's really beautifully lit here, and it's so ethereal.
Because she is soul searching or something. She's trying to go on the 9th path or whatever it is.
Yeah, she has returned to the Delvian Sikh, the religious practice.
Oh, that was it. Yes, the Sikh.
And she's awfully cold. She even... Yes. I mean, she can hear Chiana coming and she says, you have 30 microts.
Only after Chiana says, okay, I need to talk, and what are you going to do? And she's basically, I'm not going to do anything.
Did you get all that?
Yes.
So you do it?
No.
I'm just completely withdrawn. I'm just like...
Worldly concerns are not
none of mine anymore. And
because Chiana is the only one who's dealing with the fact that Moya wants to return to the asteroid field to find her child. The exact opposite of what was originally their plan. Moya starbursted to safety to escape the command carrier that is still patrolling the asteroid field where Talon and John, Aaron and Dargo and Krace are all hiding. It's an incredibly complicated situation that they're left in. I can just imagine Ricky Manning screaming. What am I going to do?
Constantly shifting loyalties, or at least the appearance thereof. Yeah. And what does everybody want? And I thought that was a lovely, not a lovely scene, but Krace actually contacts Scorpius.
Yes, Krace gets Scorpius on the phone and gives him a status update, even admonishes him for sending out these signals to upset Talon, because I'm still working on getting the gunship's loyalty. I'm still working on getting Aaron to tell us where John is. He is in cahoots with Scorpius. Scorpius only cares about John. So there's another layer of manipulation, but it's almost immediately undone, because after he hangs up the phone with Scorpius, he talks to Talon.
Talon, you heard Scorpius. You are not his concern.
Talon, you heard that, right? This is what he thinks of you. He thinks that you're just a tool. This is how peacekeepers deal with with their own. But
I'm your daddy.
This is how the peacekeepers treat their own. You, me, Officer Sun. But we are alike now. Orphaned from all we ever knew. We have only one another to rely upon.
And unfortunately, that conversation doesn't get to continue because John shows up. Manic John.
My boy Krace.
He's waving a gun. He's giggling, and we get a standoff between him and Krace once again. Krace is unarmed, but Talon is not.
No, and this is actually the scene I was talking about earlier. When John is he threatens Krace with the gun. But then he just wanders around and walks right in front of him. The guy we know has been able to snap people's necks.
Only Sebastians.
Okay, I guess Sebastians are a bit weak in that regard. But yes, he says something, and Talon pops a big sentry gun out of the ceiling.
Talon? Intruder.
Points it at John, who immediately uses Krace as a hostage.
Yeah.
Just grabs him, puts a gun to his head, and goes well, we're going now.
This is after... Okay, so I'm still stuck on how brilliantly this script was developed and how Andrew Prowse directed it. When Crichton is once again letting loose on Krace for kidnapping Talon and betraying their trust, but Krace is unmoved. He refused to see it in those terms. From his perspective, they actually have a lot of common ground. If you look at the shot with John and Krace, it's incredibly symmetrical. Mm-hmm. There is a great symmetry between them. They both care about Aaron. They both care about Talon. They both want to survive. They both hate the peacekeepers. From Krace's perspective, why are we even talking about the past, where in the present we have so much in common? But yeah, John does not so easily let go of what he already knew.
No, I mean, Krace has made a very big swing around. He has indeed completely embraced the fact that he is does not have a future with the peacekeepers, and now he's being his manipulative self to try and make the best of it. But that's actually this. I just looked at my notes and I realized there was something that is again about this whole shifting loyalties, because when Krace is talking to Scorpius, he says he doesn't know where John is. Right. When in fact, I'm sitting there going hang on, he knows exactly where John is because he gave him the coordinates to the to the asteroid.
Yes,
so at this point, you know that he is already double playing Scorpius. That he has
never remembered that.
No intention to actually follow up on delivering John to Scorpius.
Okay, that's 5 points. Wow, we completely forgot to resolve how many points you actually scored with the quiz spectacular.
Very true.
I will get back to that, and we'll add another 5 because that is great. Well done. I'm going to have to figure out something that you can redeem those points for. It'll be suitably absurd. Don't worry.
Right. That sounds like a fantastic way to spend my fake Farscape points.
Fake Farscape fun bucks. Oh, that's what they are. Okay.
I also noticed that
I was worried, by the way, that we've gone an awful long time in this episode without saying a completely stupid bullshit. All right. I'm glad that we're back.
Another thing that I noticed with Krace and Aaron is he still calls her Officer Sun, despite the fact that neither of them is a peacekeeper anymore.
Yeah, that's interesting.
On Moya, we have Chana and Rigel talking about what to do. They are talking about taking either the pod or taking the Farscape 1 and getting out of here, which is overheard by Pilot.
Yeah, he suggests, well, there are transport pods if you want to leave. Pilot's got some snark back.
Oh, yes. But I thought the most emotional part of this was like when Pilot is listening to them talking about leaving, and you can just see him going like, you can see his face darkening. And
yeah.
He
is disappointed.
Look of betrayal on his face. And then, he makes that snarky comment.
There is a transport pod available should you not wish to accompany us.
What? Leave you and Moya? No, we couldn't. Could we?
No. We'd never consider such a thing.
We'd never even consider it.
Which makes, you'd figure out by now that Pilot has ears everywhere, Pilot probably knows whether or not he's inhabiting his clamshell. He is listening. He's got the DRDs around. He can probably hear everything that's going on.
Yep, he's listening all the time. His crew are basically his telenovela that he watches when he's not playing Space Sudoku with the other pilots and gossiping about the bullshit about the...
I guess, the Leviathans do have a lot of intercommunication. So, I can imagine that they have their little discussion among the various pilots, that they have their private communication channels or something. Kind of like the Minds are talking in Ian Banks's series. When they're always having conversations.
That's brilliant. Or the little sort of AI speakeasy in Altered Carbon.
Oh, yes.
There's a cool walk and talk scene between Scorpius and his lieutenant in a PK hallway. I really like this setup. They're in silhouette. You don't see their faces while they're delivering some more exposition. I wasn't even really listening. I was just looking at this scene because you've got two peacekeeper like infantry in the foreground, and one is like patrolling and makes a turn. Like it suggests like the sheer scale of these command carriers. Mm-hmm. We see another gorgeous shot of the asteroid field where Moya has now arrived. Hey, did you notice that Moya looks a little different, by the way?
I found it hard to tell. Occasionally, I wasn't sure whether I was looking at Moya or at Tallinn in some of the shots.
Interesting.
Yeah,
things are different. The CGI production houses has changed. That was Gardner McClellan in the first season, and then it moved over to Animal Logic in the second. These kind of shifts tend to be kind of acrimonious and problematic. It's usually like breaking a contract like that is usually fraught with mutual distrust and acrimony. But this in case, it was perfectly like amenable. So all the models were handed over. But Animal Logic had its own software, so they redid all the textures and the lighting is different.
It makes sense. It's a living ship, so you could expect her to grow and change a little bit over time.
There
so
you
that's
go.
A good way to smooth out those little discontinuities.
Certainly Talon does. Having just arrived at the asteroid field in having charted a course that supposedly is undetectable to the command carrier. Right. Exactly how that works in space, I don't know.
They don't know where it is. It's a big asteroid field, as the lieutenant says.
They're approached by a prowler.
Yes, Moya is.
Which is quite worrying until they realize that the prowler is not phoning home.
No.
And seems to want to dock.
No communications, nowhere which way. Chana is definitely starting to fray a little bit at the edges. She's clearly nervous, and she's the one who's holding things together. And Rigel is being useless, and it all comes on poor little Chana's shoulders, who runs to the
hangar bay with her gun and with some of the armed militarized DRDs are helping her out as well. As the doors open, she keeps them under cover, and to triumphant music, John walks in, but the music is almost immediately interrupted when she yells at him in mistrust, you stand right there, who are you?
Yeah. And then he has to explain that no, it's me, and look who I brought Crace, throws him to the ground where he immediately gets attacked, quote unquote, by one of the DRDs, who just kind of sits at his head, and Chana still
with
has
a little gun to his head.
Chana still has a hard time believing that they're actually back.
It takes her a little while to let her guard down again.
But when she does, she shows her feline heritage with this ginormous leap through the air.
Fantastic cat leap.
Yeah.
Legs and arms in the air, chest first. He has to catch her. It's a great leap. And she's so happy to see him again. But once again, it took a wee while. Have you noticed how nobody has been just unabashedly happy to see anybody else after they've come back from the dead.
Everybody is nervous. Everybody is
Aaron
scared.
and Dargo,
everybody is unsure of what's going on.
Nobody gets the happy reunion, and then we'll work things out.
No, there's lots of shifting loyalties and suspicion between various people, like what's going on, who's doing what, whom can we trust,
and who are they?
Yeah.
Everyone has changed a lot in the mere days, maybe weeks since we last saw them. John goes to see Zan,
who is still losing it.
Maybe this is just how the Delvian seek goes. She's standing there with crystals now.
But she thinks that she's talking to John's ghost. That he's dead. And like, oh, you'll always be with me in spirit. And like, no, I'm with you in the flesh. And yes, of course you are, dear.
You'll always be real to me.
Yes, your spirit is with me. The flesh is unimportant.
Yeah, it's kind of important. Whoa! Oh, I'm not dead? She thinks I'm dead. I'm real.
Yes, John. You always will be to me.
Yes.
He talks to Chiana like, yeah, she's been like this a while. We don't know. Is this normal? And he asks Chiana, like, is this normal for the Delvian Seek? Just, you've met more Delvians than I have.
Yeah.
You think that's a help?
Yes. That was fantastic. No, like, it does not make it any clearer, the matter. They're like a weird bunch, the Delvians.
In general, they are. I mean, this is what I love about Farscape. Like, they're not just aliens. They're all aliens to each other.
True, yeah. It's not like, I mean, they know more about each other, but it's more that they know what they don't know, and therefore they accept other aliens more as, yeah, it's an alien, they do things differently.
Yeah.
And they don't suddenly know everything about each other. They're just like more accepting of the fact that everybody's different, I guess.
Chiana had probably never heard of Luxons, Delvians, humans. Sebastian she maybe heard
Probably
about
as peacekeepers, yeah.
Well, she was traveling with Durka, but the peacekeepers didn't seem to be aware of the Nabari.
True.
Right, which is a powerful military force, considering that they defeated the Zelbinians. So, like, everyone's alien to each other.
Dargo is losing rock, paper, scissors to himself. He turned it into a patience game. And
this is an interesting thing. I don't know whether it has been established yet. Like, the writers seem to think that it has. Luxons have lots of redundancy. They have 2 of everything.
Oh,
like
okay.
He talked in the past about my hearts are private places. But they also have 2 brains.
Oh.
So he's actually capable of playing rock, paper, scissors with himself and surprising himself.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I didn't catch that. But
he's got a bicameral mind.
He's just sitting there going 1, 2, 3, and then he's holding up 2 rocks and goes, damn.
It's a surprise, yes. He doesn't know what his brains are going to choose.
It is John who goes back there to pick him up, to get him to join the crew again.
John returns to the asteroid where he left Dargo and Aaron. Aaron apparently refuses to play rock, paper, scissors. That's why he has to play with himself.
Right, I guess so.
Informs them that Moya has arrived and welcomes them back on. But Moya's arrival has not gone unnoticed.
No.
Because just as Aaron's rescue of John and Dargo had been noticed and permitted by Scorpius, the arrival of the Leviathan has also been noticed and permitted.
Yes, Scorpius tells him to hold back, but get ready to leap in on them and make a rush for them as soon as they present themselves in a tactically favorable light.
Presenting themselves are John and Dargo, who make it up to the command to find a gasping Rigel.
He starts gasping after he sees John and Dargo. He seems almost happy, like he has a little Hynerian breathing problem, which is brought on by too much excitement, I believe, or something like that,
yes.
or strong emotions.
Are you not well?
You got a frog in your throat?
You need a Hynerian Heimlich.
Which he actually starts doing. He grabs Rigel from behind and starts like making him heave. Aaron is still very distant here.
Yes, she walks in, like Pilot greets her, and he she greets him back and immediately asks like, "How's Talon?" Like, yes, it's good to see you again. How's I guess Pilot can probably appreciate her business-like manner a bit more than the others, but yes, she's still very focused on Talon.
And Dargo is just happy to be back. This is where you get this gorgeous shot of him being handsome and standing there like with his bright eyes. And I guess I'm looking at this now and I see what you mean. His skin looks a little bit healthier, I suppose. It looks like he's got good circulation and it looks less like a mask.
A lot less, yeah. I think it's also been upgraded to hot flesh, the new material that was being invented.
That must be a pain considering the amount of hair that they have to stick onto that.
I don't know whether those are appliques. It seems to be it seems to be real hair. That's one of the things that you often make wigs out of. And basically, like, it's a face wig. I don't think it's... Oh, God, is that an up-top merkin?
An up-top what? A face wig?
Do you know what a merkin is?
No.
Oh, that's a short and curly's wig for your private parts.
Oh, dear. No. I mean, I assume that they have, like, beard wigs. Of course they do. They have fake beards. Like the
oh, yes, of course. That's what it's called. It's a
fake beard, yeah.
Okay, but he has a particular pattern. But yeah, it all ties together a lot better. Like, it used to be... I was not a fan of Dargo's look in the first season. I've been really looking forward to his little glow up.
Oh, okay.
Like even his beard hair, it's a little more mousy brown. The tonality fits together, and it really brings out his eyes.
It's always been fantastically groomed, but yes, his eyes are just like so bright and white and so expressive and exciting.
He casts a more like color cohesive whole, even with his crimson, especially with his crimson uniform.
Yeah, John goes have a chat with Pilot to see what's going on.
Yes. So you said that you remarked that they're back to the small set of Pilot because they're not showing the huge cavernous CGI space. But I noticed that we're actually seeing over Pilot's shoulder, and there's actually like a walkway and a door, and like there is a
No, you're right. It could be shot in a way that it hides the fact that there's this big cavernous room.
Okay, so can we summarize?
Yeah.
The plot continues to develop because there is so much in here. We can like recount it beat by beat, but honestly, I'm much more interested in these characters than the specifics of the plot. So like we're extending the Treaty of Mintaka 3.
Everybody seems to be at least at a low level suspicious of each other.
Yeah.
Even though there's not really a
they have to get to know each other again.
That. Yes.
Which, is appropriate for a season opener. We have to get to know them as well. We have to understand how these relationships were. And it's kind of a cool choice to make everyone re-earn their relationships with each other.
It makes sense, yeah.
Very few of them come in with the same kind of relationship that they had before. I think the only one that is really unchanged, I was going to say Aaron and Talon, but I think Crais and Talon as well. Like, we ended the season thinking that he kidnapped Talon.
Right.
But there seems to be some genuine affection there.
Or at least he's managed to insinuate himself into a young and impressible Leviathan. Yeah. Erin goes to check up on Zaan, who is playing Beat Saber with her crystals.
Yeah, she's got a singing crystal with which she's beat sabering the bell. Talking again about how she detaches herself from worldly concerns and she's on the seek.
Yeah, she doesn't concern herself about this anymore, and I'm just like going to sit here and do my thing, and you can all just bugger off and take care of it yourself.
And Aaron says that's incredibly selfish. Wow.
Well, I think that's really selfish, actually. You know, before you bliss off completely into oblivion, you might want to have a little look around you because Moya and Talon are in danger.
Worldly concerns do not interest me now.
Oh, really? Well, then don't give me any dren about how much you love me.
Love in its most rarefied sense.
Too rarefied for me. I'm just an ignorant warrior who believes that love means you're willing to fight and die for your fellow living beings.
And she just waves it off with her crystal. I noticed there's a bit of a discordant note in her crystal movement at that point. No, she definitely does not.
So don't tell me you love me. Oh yeah, that was a bit I didn't really love or I didn't really appreciate earlier when Aaron walked in. Zaan said, "I love you."
You what?
I love you.
Oh yes, I did hear it the first time, and you know what? I
love all living beings.
And Aaron jumped up. Whoa, no, that's weird. A bit of gay panic there.
Oh, yeah, that seems a bit weird. That's like Zaan would have. It seems very Zaan to say that to anybody anyway. Because she
follows it up with "I love all of you."
Yes, which is again a little bit weak in that regard. No, I love everybody and everything.
Yeah, this sort of felt like a Zaan and Dargo moment. But
what I didn't. Speaking of Dargo, what I didn't understand is why Dargo would go and talk to Crais, because like Dargo is like joined Crais, sitting in front of his cell. Back to the door, talking to Crais about what's going on.
I think that the last time that Dargo left Crais in a cell, someone let him out onto the bridge, and eventually, like he kidnapped Talon. Yeah. I think he's just guarding Crais in his cell. He doesn't trust the rest of his crewmates to keep a prisoner in prison.
Yeah, they have a little bit of a heart-to-heart, and like Crais really seems to have changed.
He's chill, right?
He is. He's calm and collected, and a little bit of his usual smug self, but also he's not malicious, I noticed. Yeah. Nothing in what he does, he has genuinely given up on his crazy crusade against John. He does not hold him any. When he says that in the towards the end of last season, it sounds like he's just saying it.
Yeah.
But it's clearly shown here that he actually believes it. He's accepted the fact that it was an accident and that like John is not to blame, and he doesn't seem to hold any lingering resentment towards John whatsoever.
Yeah. For me, watching it the first time, it was even this revelation. He never believed John was to blame. It was an emotional outlet that he needed. That he no longer needs because he's given up on he held this paradox of loyalty and commitment to this to the peacekeepers who conscripted him and who took him from his parents, whom he hates. I don't know if Stockholm syndrome applies, but he institutionalized himself, and now that he's released himself or has been released from the peacekeepers, he's no longer living with this unresolvable paradox. And so he's sitting there talking to Dargo, and yes, he's smug and in control. He's a captain. He's earned his command. He does not hate Dargo. He does not hate or blame anyone here for anything. He doesn't even blame Crichton for kidnapping him and once again kissing him. Crichton's kissing a lot of. He's a real kissy boy.
He's gone very affectionate. Yes,
Still doesn't count as an extra alien because it's just another observation.
The command carrier, in the meantime, is starting to make a rush for both Moya and Tallinn.
Yes, Scorpius gives the order. Still in his. Oh, I don't know whether they're in his boudoir or on the command. No, I think it's still in what used to be Krace's boudoir, just minus some Hynerian heads.
Yes, and because Tallinn is making a run for it. Tallinn is rushing out of the asteroid field. Moya is chasing him, and Tallinn actually rolls out his gun and takes a pot shot at Moya.
To everyone's surprise.
Yes.
Rigel, oh, great, he's finally arming his cannon. Shoot the peacekeepers.
Yeah, no, he shoots Moya.
Tallinn says that was a warning shot. He's sending Moya a demand.
What's he want?
A captain. Tallinn's afraid. He doesn't know what to do about the approaching command carrier.
Oh, like we do?
Stay away, Mom. You're not my mom.
There is a bit of that. I mean, there are some strong allegories going on here for what is Tallinn feeling. Nobody really fully understands him.
Although Krace and Aaron apparently are very capable of understanding exactly what Tallinn is saying. When they're standing on the bridge, they can hear. He makes the sounds, and they understand perfectly what he's saying.
They can speak with his. They speak his language.
Yeah,
I guess it's. Maybe it's a peacekeeper communications protocol that they understand.
Could be, yeah.
They can speak in whatever their Sabatian languages are.
Yeah, they fire up the shield that they got from the Zelbinian, which immediately gets destroyed by the first shot.
Tallinn just bats it aside.
It's like a single glancing shot and the shield goes fritzing out. It's like big explosions on the in control where the unit is apparently housed. A couple of buckets of confetti get thrown over the back end.
You saw that. There's an explosion, and it's very clearly some dudes back there with buckets of debris. Oh, see, I'm still stuck in admiring the production, because realizing that they made these sets in a shed this time. It wasn't even a soundstage, and probably for every one of these sets, which you only ever see in one direction, the other direction is not finished. These actors had to perform while there was, I don't know, seagulls outside or rain on the roof.
Does it rain in Australia? Of course not.
From time to time.
When it rains, it pours. Yes.
But they all have theatre experience.
Oh, that makes sense, yeah.
They're all quite used to standing on stage and looking out at an entire audience and pretending that they're not there, dealing with the air conditioning and all of it.
I suppose that's part of being an actor anyway, because there's always the cameras and everything. There's always the fourth
screen
wall.
Actor, yeah.
There's always the fourth wall, which you have to ignore, or at least imagine to be the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, the fourth wall, which is usually not built.
Yes,
on an otherwise convincing set.
There's this hilarious scene from, I think it's the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I think it's an outtake, or at least something that never made it into production. But Will Smith is sitting there at some point and goes, "If we're so rich, how come we can't afford a ceiling?" And you get a shot where you can see all the stage lights hanging.
Because Tallinn has made a demand.
He wants someone aboard, and
he
not
wants
just anybody. He wants Krace.
What?
He said he wants Krace?
He can't have him. Pilot, get that boy on the phone.
He's unwilling to discuss it further. He says he'll fire upon us unless we agree to return Krace now.
Why?
Aaron goes, "I'll go," and then Pilot goes, "Wants Krace."
Yeah.
So they decide to go together. She decides to accompany Krace. He gets escorted out of his cell with, again, a beautiful smug look of him.
Yeah.
John and Krace are standing, again, really close to each other.
Yeah, the sparks are flying between them.
And more sparks are flying between John and Aaron when they leave. They have this scene where, like, last time we stood here, we didn't get to say goodbye or something. And
they chose not to.
They chose not to. That's it, right.
And I think that was a sort of reflection of, like, the last time that they parted ways was in A Human Reaction.
Right.
When the wormhole showed up and John left. And do you remember how he was saying goodbye to everyone? And Aaron didn't say anything.
Yes.
And he tried, and she didn't say anything.
She blanked him, yeah.
She couldn't, she wouldn't, I don't know what. But so the next time that they parted, I think he respected that.
Yes.
He didn't make her say it. He didn't say goodbye, didn't expect it from her. He showed his respect through that.
Yeah.
And this time again...
Now they do, though.
And Aaron said, it wasn't goodbye, so let's hope history repeats.
Yes, that it's not going to be goodbye this time either.
Speaking of repeating, the new boyfriend and the old boyfriend, if you want to take that metaphor, John takes Grace aside and tells him, if you harm Talon or Aaron...
Because if you hurt either one of them, I'm going to hunt you down.
You hunt me down. That would complete the symmetry nicely, wouldn't it?
Yes. So on Talon, it turns out that Talon immediately starts poking some weird robo-tentacle out of the floor, something hand or the other.
Yes, Grace recognizes it with some amazement as what he calls the hand of friendship, the greatest honor a peacekeeper Leviathan, clearly he knows something about how they're designed, can bestow upon its captain. Yeah, it's its mechanical tentacle. This was actually a prop that was built for Jotheb. Do you remember the fellow prisoner with the space orcs?
Yes.
That was one of his tentacles that was used.
And it's got this little disc thing with the prongs on the end. There's a little bit of moment of confusion.
Who's it for?
And it turns out that it is for Grace.
And Grace says, I humbly accept.
Yeah.
And then... the literal hand of friendship, you noticed it, rises out of the ground.
They try to cover it up with a little puff of smoke and anything, but you can actually see someone holding that prop. Yes. There's a little bit of a gaff there.
It's fine. Like, it's literally called the hand of friendship, which is then plunged into the back of Grace's neck.
Yep. And it's apparently a neural interface, which allows him to... like experience all that Talon sees and does and feels, his guns, his sensors, his
directly
communication
under his
system.
command.
Yep.
And he tells Aaron, the deal is off. We don't need you.
Yep.
Aaron is astonished, shocked,
a little
betrayed.
bit a little bit heartbroken as well.
Yeah.
Because I guess she considered herself a little bit of Talon's godmother after she got the honor of naming him, and and now she's being shuffled aside.
And she came along specifically to diminish the harm that Grace can do.
They said we agreed to have joint command of Talon, and Grace is going I alter the deal. Pray I don't alter it any further.
Talon chose otherwise.
True, fair enough.
Yeah, at least that's what he says. No, Talon chose otherwise.
Yes.
Grace, we were going to share command of Talon.
Chose otherwise.
There's a brief scuffle.
Quite a scuffle, actually, in which
fair.
Grace and Aaron have a good little slug out between the two, and they're pretty well matched. I would have thought that Aaron would be able to overpower Grace without too much trouble, but apparently his military training is still taken hold, and they have a good little punch-up between the two. Talon tries to get involved with his sentry gun.
Yeah, now I wasn't sure whether that was Talon or whether that was Grace, who actually is able to...
Very good point. I hadn't considered that, yeah.
Nor I. He doesn't seem to be focusing on it, but they... Aaron tries to tell Talon that she's not his enemy, and Grace says, yes, we know that. We are of one mind. We want you off here, so you have 50 light welds.
Yeah. But again, he's not malicious. He's not he could easily... he could have easily killed her.
Could have kidnapped her.
But he's just no, okay, you just go your way and I go mine.
Yeah.
So she returns with the Prowler back to Moya, which is still in hot pursuit of the command carrier.
The command carrier. I get you.
The command carrier
is in pursuit, and it's arming its frag cannons, and Scorpius is ordering them to fire when
as soon as they get in range.
Grace does one last little toward Scorpius.
Right, he resigns his commission.
This will be my last update.
Yeah.
The gunship is secured, and I am resigning my peacekeeper commission effective immediately.
Grace, cease this nonsense.
As for Crichton,
I have killed Crichton.
I killed him with my bare hands. My brother is avenged.
Right. Yes. He said.
Wow, that was cool.
It was at that moment you think maybe he's trying to help him, Crichton.
He's covering for Crichton.
He is covering Crichton, but yeah.
Also taunting Scorpius and
right. But Scorpius doesn't buy it, because as soon as that little decommissioning ceremony, I can probably call it, is over, Scorpius goes like...
If Crace had killed Crichton, he wouldn't tell me.
Because...
It would frustrate me more not to know.
But even then, it's... Even if he had killed Crichton, he would still not say it, because then Scorpius would still be trying to go after Moya and not after him.
Yeah, it would make no tactical sense either.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why he decides, like, it's fake. Of course he's still alive, because he wouldn't. Yeah, he wouldn't tell me that, unless, of course, he was gambling on the fact that Scorpius didn't think that he was would be that insightful. But that he.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like. But
you think he knows? You think he knows?
Exactly. But with Scorpius, you lose that game. Scorpius Scorpius is established as the tactician and the planner. He's like the Grand Admiral Thrawn of Farscape.
Wow, that is
not that good, but that's how he's always been portrayed. Like he sees through disguises, he sees through motivations. He immediately knows what people are up to.
And he's racially impure in this case among an extremely racist speciesist, exclusivist organization.
Yeah.
So, the Leviathans both starburst. Hey, turns out Talon can starburst as well.
Yes, much to Scorpius' chagrin, who demands of his lieutenant that his tech person told him that there would be at least an Arn before Talon would be able to do that. And
send him to me so I may educate him.
Right, a little bit of retraining.
See, up to this point, I was really impressed with Scorpius' command style versus Crace's.
Yeah.
Like, his treatment of this lieutenant, played by David Franklin, is compassionate, flirty. He's a bit of a mentor. He's a bit of a threat. He's guiding him. He's praising him. It's very different than the relationships that Crace had. He never menaces the lieutenant. He never makes him feel threatened. Until now, a little bit. And it's not directed at the lieutenant, although he has to stand at attention.
Speaking of standing at attention, I noticed that Erin, whenever she's around Crace, she still has the straight posture, straight shoulders. Right. That's still apparently so deeply ingrained into her that she still does that, despite the fact that he is clearly no longer her commander.
Yeah. The only time that changes is on the command of...
Right.
On the command of Boya. Like, it's literally what I wanted to say. I shame myself. When she reaches up to touch his ceiling and speak to him, that's the only place where it changes. But speaking of changes...
Dargo and Zan have a little heart-to-heart.
Yeah, Zan admits that she realizes that it was quite selfish of her.
And that she's going to delay her seek.
Whatever that means.
Yeah.
They're actually the only ones who seem to just be happy to see each other.
Now that all
this crisis is over, like, they've always had a special relationship. Like, they understand each other in a way that nobody else understands each other. I mean, it's very casual, kind of, their relationship.
I mean, Zan is always very casual with people. Less casual is John and Erin, who are having a little cuddle in Pilot's Den.
Yeah.
Erin is leaning back towards John, and they're both sitting against Pilot's console.
Yeah, he's tugging at her hair, grooming her for ticks, I guess. It's that kind of season. Well, when you've been abroad, you want to come back and have your hair checked.
You might have carried caught some command carrier fleas or something.
Command carrier cooties, it was right there.
Yes, sorry.
How'd you miss it? Okay.
And it's a little bit of a touching, tender moment that they're having there.
Holding her from behind, kissing her on the face. It was actually telegraphed earlier on when John was back on the asteroid and rhetorically asked Erin, like, how many times have we saved each other? A bunch of times. And how many times have we been close? And she looks over at Darko and just the one.
Like, no, I meant like
emotionally. Friend close.
Yeah. Right. And how many times have you and I been close?
Just the once.
No, not that kind of close.
Oh, friend close.
Yes.
More than once.
She looks very embarrassed to admitting that in front of Dargo that they had
Come on.
Yeah. But they seem to be back to being good intimate friends, I suppose.
I was honestly a little bit surprised by this because this kind of physical closeness was not how we left them the last time. They weren't cuddling buddies before.
I guess not. I mean, it started with the hand touching when they were saying not goodbye in the shuttle bay.
Yeah.
But yeah, especially contrasting with the beginning of the episode where she's being very distant. And I guess that's explained by her being in two minds about her betrayal, or
her
at least
duplicity.
the deal that she made with Grace.
Yeah.
So that seems to make sense. But yeah, they seem to be quiet and
they discuss like their worries and their hopes. Like they don't know what's going to happen with Talon. They don't know what their future is going to be like. Maybe it won't be so bad for Talon. Maybe Talon will kick Grace off.
Right. When he grows up a little bit, yeah.
Maybe Grace won't mistreat him.
Yeah.
They just don't know.
I mean, I don't think he will. I mean, Grace knows which side his bread is buttered on, and he does seem to have a genuine concern and rapport with Talon. I mean, like I said before, he's very much been involved in Talon's creation, let's call it that. He knows a lot about Peacekeeper Leviathans. So I guess he's going to do what it takes. And like, I mean, even in the beginning, he's trying to comfort Talon when he's like being bombarded by the radio signals. And you can see how it's all motivated from a certain selfish interest, but I don't think he will go so far as meet Street Talon. It seems like
Okay. I am introducing a new segment. Cradle your crystal balls and give me your predictions, because what you're doing right now is absolutely great. So I think you have probably... Oh, I'm gonna figure out the math, but you've probably got at least 50, maybe even 75 points to sort of invest. Here's what I'm going to do. You can make these predictions, and we're going to sort of... We can treat it like the way we've done before. Like if the prediction is comes true, then you get 10 points. You come close, you get 5. But I'm going to let you wager some points as well, and see if you can like. And
wager on. So I have to.
You can double or nothing.
Make a prediction and put some points on it.
Yeah, you put 25 in, you get 50 if you get it right.
Okay, so what am I supposed to make a prediction on?
We've got to figure this out as we go along. This is a brand new game. I'm not actually much of a gambler, so I don't know how gambling games usually go.
Okay,
so maybe you can help me out.
Well, okay, I'll wager 10 points on that. Next time we see Talon and Grace, he is going to have gathered something of crew, maybe only a few people, but and he is basically up to something. I mean, like he's scheming something. He's doing something which is requires Talon. He's either using Talon's power or trying to muscle his way into something. He's gathered a few crew members.
Do you want to make that one wager, or do you want to split it up?
Oh.
Because you're putting a lot on like these.
It was only 10 points, but you know.
Okay, fair enough. So you got a crew and
he's got a crew and a plan. He's like, and they probably come across it. Yeah, when they're doing something on their own, there's probably going to be some sort of thing that they need from somewhere, and who shows up? It is going to be Talon.
This is great! I'm just realizing now that as you're making these predictions, eventually I could make you write a whole episode of what might have been.
Okay.
Yes.
I thought it was a fantastic first episode for a new season. It was like...
It's so nice to be back, right?
Very much, it's very... It was a very thinky episode, I suppose. I mean, there was like quite a bit of action, but a lot of it is like who's doing what, who's planning what, who's loyal to whom.
It's all talk.
What are we going to...
There's like two tussles, but they're over in a flash. There's some beautiful shots of the exterior. There's not like a pitched space battle. There's not a long chase. It's like everybody's talking, hiding things from each other, lying to each other, peeling back the layers of motivation. I thought it was brilliant.
So, Willy or Woody?
She gives me a Woody.
She gives you the willies.
We're back in a new season, so this is to clue everyone in. Every episode, we talk about what we loved, what gave us
the willies, and what gave us a Woody.
That's the one. And I almost got it wrong myself, so I'm glad we re-explained it there. My Woody definitely goes to Dargo's glow up. He looks fantastic.
He does.
His new foundation color really works for him. Brings out his eyes. Actually, I noticed a little bit of a change in Zan as well. She's got some more eyeliner, I think. It makes her eyes a little bit darker, so her irises stand out a lot more.
She's wearing the contacts, so that makes it all well lit and shiny all the time. Okay, I think my Woody would probably just go to the plot, basically. The whole...
An unconventional choice from
whole,
Mr. K.
Right,
yeah.
The whole confusion, like what I just said, like who's betraying whom, who's in cohorts with what, who's trying to play, what games everybody's playing.
There's a lot to unpack from
and
here.
There is, yes. Let's see. Do I have a Willy?
Oh, I've got mine.
All right, go on then.
The hand of friendship.
Oh, yes.
No,
well,
that's unsporting. Like, of course it's great.
Yeah, I mean, that's really the first time I've noticed such a big...
See, I bet you on original television, you wouldn't even have noticed because, like old CRT televisions, the 4x3 era, they had overscan. So you wouldn't see, like, the bottom, 3 rows of pixels. So it would probably be even harder to see that hand.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because it would be cropped out, and we're seeing the full screen.
Okay, yeah. But like I said, I don't think I've noticed any other obvious production mishaps like that in the series so far. This is really the first time that that one quite clearly jumps out that you're seeing just someone holding that prop. And
I retract my willy. I don't even want to. I really enjoyed that because I like this theatricality. I actually don't have a willy to give. There was nothing that creeped me out. There was nothing that bothered. Oh no, his glow stick, Scorpius' glow stick in the head,
that was a bit weird.
That effect, the fact that it comes turning, that it's mincing up his brain.
Of course, it's not mincing up his brain. It's got
chunks of brain.
It doesn't.
It's got chunks of brain on it when it's.
It did look a bit wet. Yes, that's right. But yeah, I don't think I have. Did I have any willies? No. I mean, it's all good plot points.
Special effects were great. Acting was great.
There was nothing that gave me the willies in this episode, I suppose.
Actually, okay, yeah, I do have one. And that is my sense of unsurety of where we are, what everyone is up to. Yes, it's great, but that also gave a lot of tension because there are some hints that the crew on Moya have had some adventures in the meantime. Rigel talks about that the planets in this area have not been very hospitable.
Not that any planet in this vicinity was very hospitable.
No. Paladin Moya didn't abandon us during Zan's trial.
Yeah, but that could have just been a more generic speaking. I mean, we don't know how far away they starbursted and how they even got back, if that was not a starburst or not.
And Zan talked to John when she thought it was a ghost, that she was sorry for yelling at him, which she did at some other point on Litigara when she apparently hallucinated John, but...
Gar, don't think that I've been there, but I'm here now.
Yeah,
of course he doesn't know about that.
I was never there, yeah. Okay, so I might have a willy anyway, because I think it was a little bit of the way...
Why did we name it like this?
Because of that one scene in the episode, I don't know. Where it's basically the way where Crace is interacting with Tallinn, how he's kind of being a little bit manipulative and trying to ingratiate himself, or at least paint himself as the good parent in a messy divorce. I think that was a little bit creepy.
Or the miscreant uncle, or the stepdad.
Yeah, something like that.
It is an appealing but also threatening
not
male
exactly
figure.
Not exactly bad-mouthing the other party, but encouraging him to be his own person and of course, loyal to him in the meantime.
Yeah. Exploiting a particular desire of a young man for, male guidance, affection.
Right, yeah. Grooming him a little bit, I would say, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No, I think that's a very valid willy.
Okay. Shall we see if we can name the episode? Do you have anything good?
Give Crace a hand.
Ooh, that would
one?
Be, all right. I would like to propose gunboat diplomacy.
Oh God! Season 2, knocking it out of the park again. Gunboat diplomacy. Well done. And that's the story so far, Farscape.
We'll see you next week with episode 202, Vitas Mortis, in where Dargo takes place in a sacred ritual that helps a dying Luxon. During the ritual, the Orcan involves a ritual of renewal, drawing from what she thinks is Dargo's strength, and Moya starts to age rapidly.
I am so sorry. These are the old, over-explaining, spoilerific, we'll do something about it. I'll get with Team Kaki, come to my aid. I need you. Yes. And if you would like to join Team Kaki or express your loyalty to Team K, you can find us at SoFarscape on Twitter and Facebook. We are SoFarscape wherever you get your podcast, and SoFarscape.com. I'm Kaki.
I'm Kay. So Farscape, so good.
A lot of practice.